Hi, welcome to Quilting with Lori. My name is Lori Dickman. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. If you are like me, you have lots of scraps in your stash, lots of remnants, and sometimes you just need an idea on how to actually use up those scraps to make beautiful quilts. Today, this video is going to show you exactly how you can use your scrap stash and make some beautiful quilts. In fact, you can make 52 different beautiful quilts if you choose. A couple of years ago, I put together a playlist for 52 weeks. I designed a new Scrappy Block for you, and I have a video out there for you in this playlist. It's my 52 weeks of Scrappy Blocks, and with each video, you'll learn exactly how to put the block together using your scraps, and there's a PDF below that video. So there's 52 different PDFs that you could print out and put in a notebook if you choose, or you can just simply save them to your laptop so that you will never run out of ideas on how to use your scrap stash. So I did put the 52 weeks of Scrappy Blocks in a notebook because I do like to have a hands-on copy. I do also, of course, have them digitally saved on my laptop. But I've got everything that I need to be able to put together some beautiful quilts using these PDFs. So this is something that I recommend that you put together if you like to use something that's in your hands that you've got an actual copy of. If you're more digital, go ahead and just save them to your laptop. Behind me here on the wall is a sampler quilt that I put together using 25 of those 52 Scrappy Blocks. So you'll see 25 of them here. I'm going to give you a close-up in just a moment. I'll take the camera and show you all of these that I put together. But I want to point out at the end of that 52-week series, I also teach you how to quilt as you go. So you can put this entire sampler quilt together using my quilt as you go technique. And it's a fun one, a simple one. You can see that I've sashed this with gray fabric, and then I've got some blue fabric on the outside. It went together beautifully, and I love how quick you can quilt it when you're using a quilt as you go technique. You'll also see here in a minute, and I'll have to get close up so that you can identify that, but there is a faux flange binding. I also have a video technique that teaches you, along with a PDF, how to make that faux flange binding, which simply is attaching binding with a trim, and you're doing it all by machine. It's a wonderful way to put binding on quilts that maybe are going to be more utilitarian. Maybe the quilt is going to a child or a teenager, and it's going to get washed and dried and used a lot. That binding, which is a faux flange binding, is beautiful and very durable. All right, I'm going to give you just a few seconds here of all of the different blocks in this 25 block quilt. This is a good size quilt. I want to say this is 80 by 80, I believe. I will identify the correct measurement here and let you know. And of course, if you add larger borders, it can be much bigger if you needed to maybe make a king size quilt. And here we have some at the very bottom. Let me kneel down so I can get a closer. There's just some wonderful, wonderful blocks here. So easy, lots of fun. And as you can see, I have used my stash. And let me take you over here to the faux flange binding. And very simple technique. And I'll link all of these, the playlist for the blocks, which includes the how to quilt as you go and the flange binding. I'll have all of that in the description box below. I brought you to my tabletop here. For those of you who are not familiar with my Speedy Solutions techniques, I do have a book set here. This is the techniques book that teaches you step by step everything you need to know to get your scrap stash cut, sorted, organized, stored, and ready to use to make beautiful scrappy quilts. And then it helps you then to get your scrap stash used in beautiful quilts instead of just taking up space in your sewing room. I have a corresponding video. In fact, I have a couple of different Speedy Solutions videos. I will link those below, and they correspond to this techniques book and teaches you step by step in video how to go through and get your scrap stash cut up. I hope that you'll take a moment and just watch that. That will be very, very helpful to you. So check the link below in the description box for that. This is a corresponding patterns book. So in here, there are 12 scrappy patterns that use these techniques so that you can use up your scrap stash and make some beautiful quilts. There are 5 patterns in here, 12 patterns here. So if you get the set, you get a total of 17 scrappy patterns. So you'll be busy for a long time getting some beautiful quilts made up. And if that's not enough for you, then I'm also going to show you here in a second some more of the beautiful scrappy 52-week series of blocks that I made. In this techniques book and in the videos, you'll learn how to get your scrap stash cut up and sorted in squares, in strips, and in templates. It's important that you have all of that available at your fingertips so that you can make beautiful scrappy quilts. And then I teach you how to sort everything in containers and identify the containers so you know what is available in all of them. Now let's take a minute and just take a peek at some of the other blocks that I created in my 52-week series of scrappy blocks. Before I share all of this with you, I do want to mention that on my website, you'll find information about me. If you look at the tabs at the top of my website, you'll see that I do speak at guilds across the country and internationally. So if you are a member of a guild and you'd like to hear more about my Speedy Solutions techniques, I would love to be able to share that lecture and my workshops with your guild. So check that out, share that information with your Quilt Guild program chair people. And so now let's take a look at some of the 52-week series of blocks. And again, I put mine in this notebook, so everything is placed inside here. On some of these patterns, I give you an idea on how to put the block together. In fact, this is one of the 52-week blocks here. And I give you an idea of how to put it together in a pattern. In fact, this pattern right here is available as a free pattern out on my website. So if you go in the shop on my website, you'll find the Holly and Berries wall quilt, which is a great Christmas pattern. However, you could certainly make it in any season you want just by changing out the applique portions. You could put something else in there as an applique or just simply put another block in there. So check that out. I have a number of free PDFs of quilts that are out there in my shop on my website. So check that out. And here are some of the blocks that I teach you in the 52-week series. And I'm just going to share a few of them here. I keep them in this plastic container because I take them with me when I go to shows, etc. That's a duplicate there. And as you can see, when I work on scrappy blocks, I use all kinds of fabrics. I use batiks with themes, with holiday fabrics. I use it all. And what I also teach in my lectures is, and in some of my videos, I teach on how I put together muddy as well as clean fabrics when I'm scrapping up and making a scrappy quilt. If you like a more controlled looking scrappy quilt, you might want to make sure that there is a unifying theme going throughout your scrappy quilt that just helps to give your quilt, your eye a resting place as you're looking at that quilt. And you might want to go with all clean. By that I mean fabrics that have a white undertone or all muddy. As you can see here, these all have a kind of a beige yellow undertone. They're more of a muddy undertone. This has more of a clean white undertone. So I'm sure there's a preference that you might have. For me, the scrappier, the better, as you can see. A few of these are duplicates, but you're just going to see here the wide variety. And here's another duplicate, I guess. I'm going to be doing a video on this one in the next couple of days on how to make this one for, this is a great patriotic block. So you're going to be using 1.5-inch squares, strips, and then I'll have a PDF of the soldier. So I'll be, check back on that. Here is another wonderful flag quilt. It would make a great pillow. Here it is in different fabrics. So there's just so much here for you to do. I'm just giving you a quick breeze through all of these blocks. This one I really love, especially for summer or maybe even for a girl's room. So there's just a few ideas for you to get started on. Before I put this away, here's another one that I just came across. It's the birthday block. Maybe you'd like to have a placemat made up in your home for the special birthday person. and that they can use that when it's their birthday. So that's kind of a fun one as well. There's so much available. Be sure to check the playlist below, and I'll have them all linked. That will teach you how to get your scrap stash cut, sorted, and organized. It gives you an idea of how you can put them together and organize them in your sewing room and quilt room. There's also going to be playlists of these 52 weeks of blocks that you can either print out and have available in your sewing studio or just save it to your laptop. And then the other thing that I do want to present to you is crumbs. I have an entire playlist on crumbs. So as I'm going through and scrapping up my stash, I like to take all those leftover tidbits that, you really don't, maybe you're too lazy to cut up, or maybe they're just too small or too weird to use in your stash as a square or a strip, etc. So I'll throw them in a basket, and then I will periodically just start making fabric. So these are crumb fabrics, and you just start in the middle and just keep growing the block until it becomes as large as you want it to be. As you can see, here are some of those. And then I took the block when I got it large enough, and I squared it up to a certain measurement. And then I'll keep making these blocks until I have enough to put together a beautiful scrappy quilt. So it will be a crumb quilt. Here is a crumb block that I put together. It's all mostly pastels, but I put it together in a wonky block, and it's kind of hard to see that. It's white on white here, but that's another great way to use up your crumb blocks, or to set them and put them in a quilt. And then I also have playlists on, I have entire playlists on all of this crumb fabric, but I do have a fun little fall table runner here where I'm using the tiny crumbs and I'm enveloping them in some tulle on this mat. And there's a fun little technique that you can see. I'll link that for you as well. So with everything I've shared with you today, I believe I've given you some ideas and answers on how to use your scrap stash, how you can get it cut, sorted, organized, and ready to use, how you can actually pull from it and make some beautiful quilts, how you can use the leftover bits and pieces. I have a crumb playlist that you can follow to use up all of those crumbs and get some inspiration on how to use them up. So I hope that this has answered a lot of your questions, that you'll enjoy it and take some time to go through the playlist of videos as well as the PDFs and add those to your arsenal so that you can make some gorgeous scrap stash quilts from your stash. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget, at the end of that playlist on the 52-week series of Scrappy Blocks, I'll teach you how to put your quilt together, how to quilt as you go. And that's something that you'll want to try if you have never tried it. It's a very simple technique. You can do it all at your domestic sewing machine. You can get your blocks pieced, and then you can actually quilt them all together in rows using stashing and the borders. It's a really fun technique. And there's also a how-to video on the faux flange binding. So check those out. Don't forget about those as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this has helped you to figure out what you can do with your scraps. Until next week, have a wonderful week and happy quilting.